Going to ask Mayor if he would open us up in prayer, so if everybody would stand.
Heavenly Father, thank you again for this day. Thank you for the opportunity for us to live in a country where we have the freedom to assemble a local community. We ask that you would make us all more familiar and more available for discussion on your rules and as well as just local things. We understand as Christians that we are to be Christ-like, and we ask that you would help us because we know we don't always do that. We ask your input and your wisdom in any decisions that might be made. At this time of year, we ask you to be with each and every family that's represented here today. Watch over them, Lord. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge the flag. Attention. Flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, I'd like to welcome everybody to our council meeting today. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Has everybody had a chance to look at the payments of accounts?
Make a motion to pay the bill.
Okay, got a motion to pay the bills?
Second.
Got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, moving right along with our agenda. Our citizen participation public hearing to receive comments from the public about the proposed rezoning on Hickson Road. Do we have anybody here?
Hi, my name is Jane Montgomery, and I have 23 acres up on the other end of Hickson Road, and I have family that's still there. I'm a descendant, and they would have liked to have been here, except they're working. So I wanted to present a little bit of what the concerns are about not so much rezoning as what happens after the land's rezoned and the timeline at which it happens. So I wanted to express extreme and sincere thanks to the Planning and Zoning Commission who welcomed us to the meeting there, and we were very, it was an open discussion, and we really appreciated their time and their input. And at the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Committee, it was agreed that Hickson Road was inadequate for the anticipated increase in traffic volume to potentially probably over 100, 150 vehicles. The road's 11 feet wide at its narrowest and 17 feet wide at its widest. It's not striped. There are blind hills and blind curves. It's dangerous even now with limited traffic. Additionally, the mayor indicated that there's no likelihood that the state would agree to install a traffic light on Highway 11 at Hickson Road. And when we just came out just now looking to the left, there's a hillside that was cut away years ago to allow for Highway 11 to be there. And you really have to be intentional about looking to the left before you turn across. The village at Hickson Pond is an attractive development. No questions there. The developers have done a good job. For the proposed second phase, the road drops down a hill and into a curve and up another hill. Visibility is very limited. It's narrow. It's not striped. No signage. The question is this. Two questions. Timeline. Does the development get approved first and then the city council act on improvements to the road? And before this property is rezoned, should the city decide whether they are prepared to accept the financial burden associated with the infrastructure required to provide a safe road, clean, abundant drinking water, and appropriate sewage disposal that would ensure the safety and well-being of future and existing residents of Dixon Road. Because at the planning and zoning, they were talking about having to move water and having to move sewage and, widening the road, having to cut the hillside away and stuff like that. So that's, what we basically need is an understanding of, timeline and improvements and stuff like that. So that's why I came before the board today.
I think at the meeting, two of the councilmen were there, and I think it was general consent that we would start that work as soon as possible, because of what's there already needs to be fixed. I guess you would say absolutely what had to be fixed was between the existing apartment complex and the other road. But there's a very good possibility that we'll get that second phase. And even if we don't, I think that there'll be more development in that area than there is now. It would be my recommendation that we go ahead and let the street department do some work as they have time, because this is probably gonna be 2 years or better before the construction's even started on that phase. And the water company's gonna have to remove a water line and put in a larger water line at some point. So I think it's something we just need to go ahead and start. We don't have to be in a real hurry for the schedule due to the timing of everything. But I can understand the citizens' concern that we don't want to wait till everything's been approved and then us decide, well, we don't want to do it. I mean, I can understand that, and I don't think that's going to be the situation at all. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but that's my feelings on that.
We had a lot of input at that meeting. I think nearly everybody on that road was at the planning commission meeting. And there was quite a bit of discussion back and forth, and that was the biggest concern with all those people that live past this development, was getting in and out, because it has been an issue during this construction phase of trucks stopping in the road and unloading materials and things like that. So we didn't want that to happen again. This project, from what I understand, is probably 3 years out from being approved and construction started. And the last thing that we would want to do is be working on the road while that's being done. So that gives us a couple of years to plan and get ready for this. Tim Williams is our Public Works Director. He can look at it and see where we would have to acquire additional right-of-way and stuff. The water line is on the east side of the road because the bank falls off on the west side. And I think the gas line may be on the west side, I'm not sure, but it would probably be relocated into a wider right-of-way to the east. So once we figure out how much right-of-way we're gonna have to look at, how wide the road would have to be, and then what work would go into that, the utilities would all be put on the east side in that new right-of-way that's developed. And in talking to Paul Nail the other day, the manager of the water department, he felt like it would be better to just go ahead and run a new water line and then make the connections and then just kill the old line and leave it where it's at instead of trying to dig it out from under the edge of the road. So it's a three-pronged attack, but it would be something that we've got a couple of years to get started on, because I think, from what I understand, the development that's there now took 3 years to get approved. They have to approve it once a year. They vote on it, and it took the third year before it was approved, and then they have to go through another year of development and whatnot. So we're going to have a little bit of time here, but it is something that's on the drawing board, and it's something I think that we would definitely want to address for those folks in there, because I think this is an additional 55 units north of the ones that are there now, and would be geared to senior citizens. Is that right?
55 and up, age 55 and
Yeah,
up, and I think the number was 62,
56.
66,
56.
56, sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking it was in the mid 56 apartments basically for people 55 and above.
Right.
So, and then the other one is just now filling up. So I think we're wanting to do something with it, but we're going to have a little time to plan that. But we do have some time to plan that, and I don't know, as far as going past that development, I would think that we would try to get what right of way we have cleaned up and widen the road what we can. But It's primarily from there out where the congestion is gonna take place, and we want that congestion to not be there where the people in the back can get out in a timely fashion. And Highway 11 getting a red light on it, that's up to the state of Alabama. And they will tell you that unless the traffic count meets a certain number, just forget about it. And unless you've got about 10,000 people a day that wanna come out Hickson Road, you're not gonna get a red light there, I'm sorry. We're trying to get one at Airport Road and it doesn't meet the criteria.
Sure.
So it's all about traffic count. So, but we can look at that, looking east, and see if that hill's in the right of way that may be cleaned off a little better, or something like that. I hadn't looked at that, but I appreciate all the comments that were given that night. It was a good discussion back and forth, and this is something that the planning commission has passed on to us with their recommendation, with these stipulations that we address this as a body that can do that because they couldn't. If that answers your questions, I hope
Yes,
so.
thank you. Thank you very much.
What was your name again?
Jane Montgomery.
Jamie, good.
My granddaddy was John Ike Tate.
We appreciate you coming
Thank you.
today. Okay, moving right along to our committee reports from our different departments. I know Lynn and I met with Robin and the Parks and Rec, and we talked a little bit about that this morning in our work session, about what potential direct needs that we have right now for the rec department and the direction that we're going with all that. So, and I know we're meeting again next week with architects to kind of put some of that, get it concreted in. Anybody else got any committee reports?
I got something I'd like to inform y'all about.
Okay.
Industrial Development Board brought a check yesterday to the city of Fort Payne for $21,035, which represents payment on the land that they sold out beside AP Plasman. That was something they did not have to do since, you know, we talked about that in prior meetings. That land was titled to the Industrial Development Board. But after, you know, they heard from some of us, they felt the right thing to do would be to repay for that. And based on the price that we paid for that land and carving out 5 acres, that was the sum that it came up to be, $21,035. So that was money we didn't have prior and was not expecting. Also, I communicated with Mike Shire at the Improvement Authority yesterday. Traffic count lights should be finished by the end of the year, and he will present his findings to the board, the Improvement Authority Board, and what they will do at that time, any unresolved light count, they'll just simply remove it from our bill. We'll no longer be charged for it.
Anybody else? Okay. Moving right along with our ordinances and resolutions, the ordinance 2018-06, the rezoning approximately 9 acres on Hickson Road from rural farm to R3 high-density residential district. This is the second reading of that ordinance.
I'd move that we go ahead and accept the recommendation of the planning commission and rezone it.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, number 4, ordinance 2018-07, setting the compensation and benefits for the mayor and council beginning with the 2020 administration, and this is also a second reading.
This hasn't been changed in like 18 years, I think.
Prior ordinance was passed in 1997 to go into force beginning with the 2000 administration, so it's been 18 years.
And I know none of us do this job for the money, but it is a difficult job, and I think to get quality candidates and quality mayoral candidates is something that needs to be done, and I'll move that we accept that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Make everybody understand that this is for the next administration. It's not for any of us.
Okay, next on the list, Resolution 2018-49 to accept bids for the police department renovations. Those bids came in.
We opened bids last Tuesday in the conference room. Had four companies bid. The low bidder was Boatner Construction out of Rainbow City in the amount of $860,000. And I think Robert made reference in the work session just a little while ago that they were gonna reduce that by $5,000. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do a demolition on that sidewalk.
So that would lower that amount to $855. And he has reviewed all these, and it's his recommendation that we accept it.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
I would just like to say that this makes that building usable. If we don't do something to that building, we're not gonna be able to use it just because of the age and the fact of the wear and tear on it. And it is something that was the city hall that is being repurposed for
Right.
the police department, and it's so needed.
And this is phase one of that property. There'll be another phase to take care of the inside, stuff that needs to be taken care of on the inside, so.
Yeah, that building hasn't had any attention now in quite a few years.
Yeah, we in our study, we had decided that, or determined that was probably our biggest project that needed the most attention, the quickest, so. Okay, did we approve that okay. Continued business, streetlight request for Robert and Donna Wells on 602 Wilkes Drive East.
I'm good with that, I talked to those folks.
So moved.
The street lights are already there, they just gonna turn it around toward the road and get it out of there, off there.
So it's not a new one?
No, it's just a matter of moving
It
around.
will be on our bill.
It's not on our bill?
No, it's
No, they're
a
paying for
security
it.
light.
Security
Yeah,
light.
they paid for it for the last 12 years, and they just wanna turn around to the road. It is dark in that area down through there, so I have no problem with it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
And then we have another one.
We've got an additional one on Pumpkin Center Road that I think we talked to Randy about, just before you get to the curve that goes off down in the subdivision down in there. They've got to locate a pole number to put it on, but it's between Frank Humphrey and Billy Shamley on Pumpkin Center Road. I recommend that we approve that one also, contingent on getting the information on which pole to put it on.
So moved.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is our sick bank policy. Don Fisher, you want to update us on the sick bank policy?
I met with the departments last week, requested 2 weeks ago, on our sick leave bank policy. Just let me briefly go over the policy. Y'all have the handout here, I'll get to that second. But this is our sick leave bank policy, adopted in 1996. Everybody that helped draw this up, a lot of employees that were in it, they're gone now. What I told you 2 weeks ago, what I found out, we have competing policies, we have sick leave bank, we have catastrophic leave policies, and our personnel policies. Real briefly, I'll go over, here's how the sick leave bank policy works. The employee who wishes to be in the sick leave bank, they give us, the city, they give us 3 sick days, we put them into the bank, they're given 20 extra days that they can build on their account throughout their career. We take those, we compile them all together, and when somebody needs to use catastrophic leave or sick leave that don't have them, we allow them to draw out of the bank. The problem is we haven't been using the bank. We're going straight to catastrophic leave. The other thing is, sick leave bank policy is voluntary. You get in this year, you get out next year. It's just revolving door. In my career here, I've only found 2 people that have ever used a sick leave bank. One of them paid back, the other one didn't pay it back. And that's the other thing, when you draw from sick leave bank, you have to pay it back. You get the The only thing you get out of sick leave bank is you get 10 days plus the 3 you put in, 13 total. You have to pay that back. If you need additional days past that, you go to the catastrophic leave portion of the sick leave bank, which we have that in our personnel policies. So that's where we're at here. We're really competing with two things here. So what I want to do, and like I said, I met with the departments. Councilman Brewer was present, and the department was present, and the mayor. It was unanimous. We do away with this, restore the 3 days back to the employees who are in the sick leave banks, sick leave. And I want to make some recommendations for the use of our catastrophic leave policy, which is in our personnel policies present. So, my recommendation is to void the sick leave bank. Do away with it. Restore those days back to the members' accounts. On page 63 of our catastrophic leave policy and our personnel policies, I want to make the changes highlighted in yellow there. That change would be the HR department, the payroll department, and the payroll administrative assistant would be the committee. When catastrophic leave is needed, we would be the committee, or the people in those roles would be the committee. If the department head would bring the request to us, we would do what's necessary per our policy to vet that out, to make sure it's something we can do or should do, and then we use it that way. The other change on guide number 3 is guides. That all I'm asking to change there is just the example. On the second page, page 45, I'd like to request we make a change, and on the first bullet point there, sick leave, and see the addendum on 46A. Now 46A is what we're creating. This is what we want to add to our policy. Addendum to the sick leave policy that we currently do not have in our personnel policies. That sick leave accrual cap, if we do away with the bank sick leave, allow us to change the cap for sick leave accrual to 960 hours for everybody in a 40-hour work week. Fire would be 2880, police would be 1140. That essentially puts everybody into the sick leave bank that are employed with us now, without having to go through the rigmaroles of using the policy that we're not using anyway. So it's just sort of cleaning it up, streamlining it, giving everybody the benefit of the sick leave policy. Then when it comes to retirement, I'd like to make the recommendation that we put in our policies that as you can read, any sick leave that's left over in that account, the employee could have that, half of that account, half of that balance, and pay what we're already doing. That's my recommendation. Got any questions on that?
That's based on 8-hour days.
It's based on 8-hour days, as it.
And that's specified now where it wasn't before.
And that is the policy we're following now.
That is the policy, but it's not written.
We don't have it written now.
We don't have it written down.
Yeah, the policy we worked under years ago was based on the old 77 merit policy that kept everything at 90 days, and then you got half, and then when this new policy was written a few years ago, that was left out accidentally, and we've basically been trying to honor that policy for several years now, but this actually puts it into writing. The employees lose nothing, they're actually gaining some days by putting this in writing. Y'all good with that? Everybody understands that?
It was unanimous at our meeting, it was unanimous to proceed in this direction.
First thing y'all need to do is vote to abolish the sick bank.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to abolish. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Now, are you through with that, or do you want to work on it some more? Because this has to be, the changes he made has to be changed by ordinance, because it's in.
This will go under policy form under an ordinance, right?
Yeah.
That we can have next meeting, and we can suspend the rules and pop if we need
At the
to.
next meeting, y'all can choose to suspend the rules and adopt it, or carry it over, whatever. Are you finished with
I'm
it?
finished with that part right now.
Y'all good with what he's?
I am.
The whole sick bank thing is, it's a paperwork nightmare, I think. And it'll save us money, I think, just in them keeping up with that. So I'm glad we did away with that, but, I think this is fair, what we're,
Don worked his tail off on that, so I appreciate his hard work on it.
and he's gonna continue to work on it in this coming year, but those are the immediate pieces.
I would like to add to the council, you know, personnel policies they're a living document, they're gonna move back and forth, and when we see something that we're not using, you know, we need to figure out why we're not using it, and if we're not, we don't need it anymore, we can get rid of it, so I'll be coming back periodically with changes that we need to make.
Well, I'd like to say too, I don't think the catastrophic was being used properly either. So everybody's in agreement about how to use it, and they're gonna do it properly now, and I think it'll make a big difference.
You good with doing this now?
Spin the rules and it, no? Okay.
Have it typed up in the ordinance form. We'll have that first meeting in January, which is gonna be.
We need to decide about that before we adjourn. What we're gonna do about our meetings.
Okay, moving right along. Number 8, the Cobble Building, discussion on the final disposition of the Cobble Mill Building.
We've had quite a bit of discussion on this, and I
There's-
think Brian and Lynn are in a position where y'all can't vote on it, being a board member and a wife of a board member, but Red, Johnny, and I have talked about this. We've met with Kirby, and I think the cleanest transaction we can do to get her in this building is basically sell it to her for the $30,000 that's referenced in the 2016 memo. So I'd make the motion that we declare that building surplus and sell it to Fort Payne DeKalb E-Center, whatever that 501 is, for the amount stated.
Well, let me say this, after I got that email, that Rocky, says it's unconstitutional for us to either rent it or lease, or rent to own or lease. I don't say that we have any other choice, but,
Well, let me clarify for the press, it's not unconstitutional to lease it, but at the end of the lease, we would then have to get the full purchase price.
right.
We can't lend our credit.
Can't rent to own or lease.
Can't rent to own, can't lend our credit, it's constitutionally prohibited. So it would be unfair to her, she would wind up making lease payments and then still have to buy it at the end of the time. So this way it's hers, and it also does away with the things we discussed about having to do certain things by certain times and spend certain money. It's just her building to do with what she wants to at the rate she wants to do it.
Well, I'm gonna second your motion if Vicky is, you know, has an intent to buy it, or whoever has an intent.
Well, that company, yeah.
The E-Center.
Yes.
You can call the question. You can.
Yeah,
You can do that.
yeah,
Now, won't you
So-
get in trouble here?
yeah. So do we have a motion and a second to?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, we got the motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Y'all abstain?
Okay, so motion carried.
Good luck.
Is this
Yeah.
good with you, Vicki?
Absolutely, thank you very much.
Would you like to speak to this or anything?
Well, I appreciate you coming to this conclusion, and I look forward to helping be a great citizen in our community.
We look forward to your work up there and getting something in the business.
Good luck.
Okay, moving right along to new business, budget adjustment for public works, $137,851.
Got 3 of them right here. I'll sign them up. For a leaf machine and a milling machine. Two leaf machines, I think. New one and a old one.
Since you got that old one running, will that make 3 available then for next season?
We're gonna take the old one and use the good parts off of it.
Oh, okay.
And build a better one for next year.
Okay,
Out of the 2 old ones, the one we're buying and this old one, we can make one that'll
okay.
work better than what we're using now.
It's gonna take pretty well 3 to keep up with it.
It will, yeah. If we get behind with 3 of them, we'll use backhoes, they call it, we'll stakeholders. And I have talked to the contractors I've told in the past that they can't put them out, and they're happy that y'all passed this, so they don't have to pick them up. Or don't have to
Second.
file with me anyway.
Did you motion?
So Johnny made a motion, Lynn made a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, moving on to 10, authorized bids for the new leaf machine.
So moved.
Got a motion and second to authorize the bids. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, moving on to the next page, board appointments. Our applications were taken through 4 o'clock on Friday for the vacancies on the Fort Payne Improvement Authority Board, the Industrial Development Board, and the Fort Payne Waterworks Board. The applicants are the Improvement Authority is Dale Fisher, Christine Ledbetter, Ken Mayo, Randy Moses, Obie Oden, and Mike Wallace.
I make a motion, we reappoint Randy Moses to finish another term. He's actually just filling Tim Sugar's term at this time, and I'd make a motion, we reappoint him for a full term.
Okay, we got a motion second for Randy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Any other nominations?
Well, no, if you do it by motion, you don't, you fill the term.
Okay, for the Fort Payne Industrial Development Board, the applicants were Joe Dean, Steve Eberhardt, Dale Fisher, Vicky Kirby, Royce Latter, Christine Ledbetter, and Ken Mayo.
We need 3 there, right?
Yes. The industrial development, we need 3.
Joe Dean is an incumbent, he's been there since they formed up. I'd make a motion, we reappoint her.
Second.
Got a motion second to, do we need to do all these in one, or? Do we? Okay, so we've got a motion second to reappoint Joe Dean. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, for the number 2 spot,
Vicky Kirby's also an incumbent.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion, we reappoint Vicky.
we've got a motion and second to reappoint Vicky. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any, any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
I'd like to nominate Steve Everhart.
Okay,
Second.
got a nomination for Steve Eberhardt. A motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Before we proceed, I'd just kind of like to say, and kind of apologize to some of these people for these incumbents. I didn't know we could go ahead and vote them back in last time. And it's important, if you've served on a board, your first term, you're really just beginning to learn about that business, and I think it does a disservice to the board if you don't at least give someone 2 terms. I just wanted to state that because I don't want there to be any hard feelings about some of these incumbents. They bring a valuable piece of knowledge back to these boards, and we actually talk and discuss with the boards also. So with that being said, we can go on to the water board.
Well, I would like to point out that the Industrial Development Board is purely voluntary board. Everybody's doing this, no compensation whatsoever, and we should appreciate that, and I think everybody does.
Appreciate people being willing to serve.
Yes,
Exactly.
and keep trying.
Yeah, just because you don't get in this time, don't mean you won't get in the next time. Okay, the Water Department Board, Dale Fisher, Wade Hill, Christine Ledbetter, Ken Mayo, and Mike Wallace.
And again, I think this was Wade's first.
Yeah, this was his finishing his first term.
So I make a motion, we put Wade back on the water board.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, you don't need to abstain, you can vote for yourself.
Okay.
Nominate yourself, you can vote for
Okay,
yourself.
well, I vote for me.
But I appreciate everyone putting in for these boards. They're so important. And it's so important if you guys aren't chosen to be active in our community. And I know Ken Mayo's here and he he's very active in our community, and I appreciate all he does. So keep it up.
And we appreciate all the interest there is to serve on these boards, because it's not always easy to find willing people that will get out there and work the hours that it takes to work and not get paid to do that. So we appreciate what you guys do. Okay, Mayor, do you have anything for us?
I mentioned downstairs when we were in the work session about the revolving fund loans. They are at a 20-year fixed rate of 2.2%, which is considerably lower than we get anywhere else. And we also have a certain amount of forgiveness that we get. So these type applications, if we're going to do anything else at the wastewater treatment plant in the very near future, these things have to be submitted by March the 1st. So if it's agreeable with everybody, I'd like to go ahead and ask James Payne and Robin to come up with what we really need to apply for so that we make that application. Good, okay.
It's not an approval to proceed.
No, we'll just find out what the
Get a plan together.
plan is. The last time I mentioned that we had a request to hold a State of the State address by Senator Livingston and Representative Ledbetter. And there's been a date decided on, if it's agreeable with everybody, February the 5th at 5:30 in our auditorium. The Chamber of Commerce will be responsible for doing all the refreshments and drinks, and we're just providing the location.
February 5th?
February 5th.
What day is it?
That's on a Tuesday at 5:30. Anybody have any problems with that date? Good enough. We'll work it out with them then. Thank you.
All right. I'd like to say I appreciate everybody coming out today to our council meeting. Would like to say we had in my opinion, a very successful parade last night. We got rained out Friday, but that didn't hamper the event. There was lots and lots of folks out there. I wish Jennifer was here today. Congratulate the chamber and her board on doing another successful parade, because I think everybody was well pleased. I've heard nothing but good comments.
Yeah, not just their work, but the participation and the quality of it was just amazing.
Okay, we do need to decide the date of our next meeting. Our next scheduled meeting would be on January the 1st. And we...
I make a motion, we cancel that.
Go to the 15th.
Let's just go to Red's house. How about that?
Mom, come celebrate.
Yeah. So do we want to just cancel that first meeting and do...
It's dead at that time of the year.
Yeah.
We can just get by.
Just have one meeting in January, be the 15th?
Hey,
Okay. Do we need a motion for that? Okay.
Well, yeah, let's
Make a
So
motion.
moved. Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, anybody else in the audience have anything that you would like to bring to the council before we dismiss? I know we've got to go into executive session. If not, we really appreciate you guys coming,
Merry Christmas.
and we hope you have a very Merry Christmas and
Happy
even better
New
New
Year.
Year.
Happy New